So we're going over how North Carolina notaries make $10 to 250 or more per hour and the power of the North Carolina economy. So for the community impact, how Notaries Public act as key catalysts and infrastructure to strengthen the North Carolina economy. How does that work? So I want to say first, good evening to everyone. Today, we are going to explore an often overlooked but absolutely vital pillar of our state's economy, the office of the Notary Public. When we think of economic drivers, we often look to major technology hubs, medical research, or commercial real estate developments. However, none of these multi-million dollar sectors can move forward without a fundamental mechanism of trust. Today, we'll examine how North Carolina's notaries act as key catalysts and the underlying infrastructure that secures legal, real estate, and financial transactions across our state, ultimately keeping our economy moving safely and efficiently. So, when it comes to the economic catalyst, on the left side, you see that we have trust based transactions. Commercial operations depend directly on verified identities and legal assurance. Notaries provide the structural bedrock that prevents contract repudiation, which is the claiming that a signature wasn't ours or that a contract is invalid, and secures investor confidence in North Carolina. On the right side, you see friction reduction. By executing secure, standardized, and authentic signings, notaries lower transaction friction. This speed directly unlocks capital formation and helps local North Carolina businesses scale without operational delays. So, just to understand the role of a notary, we must first look at how commerce actually functions. And again, at its heart, commerce is built on trust. That's important to remember. When it comes to securing commerce, the Office of the Notary Public serves as the state's primary defense line against fraudulent commercial transactions. So we have fraud, fraud deterrence. Direct identity verification prevents unauthorized real estate transfers and fraudulent business mergers. So as you can hear in the news, there's always issues with a lot of deed fraud that's happening throughout the entire country. And there's a lot of cases that has been under investigation where they are actually finding the culprits that's involved and they are going to be served justice. It's unfortunate that you do have a lot of elderly and other families that have lost their home to these types of acts. But our goal is to make sure that we are the good guys. Even when you have bad notaries, you want to make sure that you are not in that same um, category when it comes to what we supposed to do and what we supposed to stand for. When it comes to legal validity, ensuring signers are fully aware and acting of their own free will keeps agreements secure. So we do have to take more additional actions by asking certain questions for us to feel that they are willingly actually been a participant in this interaction of signing their names so that there is no question when we do our due diligence to notarize a document. So again, it's not just personally having them appear before us, but we do have a little bit more work that we are responsible for doing by asking those simple questions. Are you actually, do you understand what you're signing? Are you signing willingly? Are you under duress? So again, these are certain questions we need to ask and then document those questions that we did ask with their affirmative in our journal so that we can have that for later if need be, if we have to go back to that information. So when it comes to litigation mitigation, the validated documents lower state litigation and court overheads, retaining household wealth. So the less we have to go to court, the more that can be saved because our taxpayers' dollars goes toward what's happening when someone has to go to court to defend themselves. So again, we've been the front line of defense. It's very important that we can take the time to make sure we're doing everything we possibly can to actually um, make sure everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing legally. I forgot to put my heading, which should be Powering North Carolina Industries. So when it comes to powering North Carolina industries, we have real estate, corporate affairs, and automotive. So the breakdown, real estate, it enables mortgage sign-offs, title transfers, deed recordings, and refinancing pipelines instantly. Then the corporate affairs, securing high stakes agreements, corporate filings, mergers, acquisitions, and asset investments. Automotive, we have powering fast title and ownership transfers to facilitate seamless consumer and commercial sales. And I will tell you, out of the three, automotive is something that keeps me very busy throughout the week because I usually have at least one, if not three, requests during the week of someone is transferring a title to someone. So it just really helps. So when it comes to, again, the real estate, every single home purchase, mortgage sign off, refinancing agreement or arrangement, and deed recording requires a notary stamp. This is the oil in the engine of a multi-billion-dollar housing market. When it comes to the second portion, corporate affairs, whether it is small or whether it is a small LLC forming in Raleigh or a multinational bank executing a merger in Charlotte, high stakes corporate filings, acquisitions, and major asset investments require authenticated signatures. And then third, again, the automotive industry. North Carolina is home to millions of vehicle transactions yearly. Seamless private and dealership sales rely on notaries to power fast title and ownership transfers. Without a notary, the secondary car market would grind to a halt, literally. Unlocking real estate. When it comes to the final mile of closing in North Carolina, real estate deeds and mortgages cannot be recorded with the register of deeds without a certified notary seal. Notaries serve as the essential final gateway, driving North Carolina's multi-billion-dollar real estate economy daily. So let's zoom in on that real estate sector for a moment because it is highly regulated in North Carolina. As you can see on the slide, there is a 100% mandate in our state by law. Real estate deeds and mortgages cannot be legally recorded with the county register of deeds unless they bear a certified notary seal. This makes the notary the ultimate final mile of the closing process. They are the central gateway until the notary stamps that document no keys are handed over, no funds are released, and the transaction is not official. This vital gatekeeping role keeps our property market stable, highly insured, and secure. The digital frontier, IPEN and RON frameworks. So in North Carolina, the modern remote electronic notarization, REN, laws dissolve geographical limits. So when we are able to really function with this is the idea of how you can receive the information and expect it to carry through. Um, the digital signatures accelerate e-commerce, making North Carolina a highly competitive tech-forward state for venture capital and cross-border deals. So for those of you that have not become an electronic notary that may want to do remote notarization once it's finalized, because we're still waiting. We still talked about it during our conference this past weekend, and that is something still moving forward. We're just still waiting for the list to increase for us to have an idea of who we can actually work with. So again, that is yet to be determined. So that will be something that we will table until another day when we can truly function in this capacity because once again, we can't do something that is not available to us yet. It is available to a lot of other states, but North Carolina is still doing their part to make sure everything can be finalized based on what the Secretary of State has actually tirelessly created. And then we have the legislation that's another part. And so again, they're not always linked together when it comes to the mindset of what we want to do collectively. So that in itself can be a deterrent to us moving forward. So if you was at the conference, you had received a lot of insight during the notary chat where Ozzy was able to break down that a lot of information as well as Secretary of State Elaine Marshall. So when it comes to local entrepreneurship, many of you may actually just work for a company and you're actually a notary for the business, and that is definitely fine. However, if you're moving to retirement, if you're wanting to have another income stream with what you currently are doing full time or part time, then this can be something you want to consider when it comes to what is possible. So, when it comes to low barriers to entry, simple state approved educational courses allow diverse demographics like military spouses, retirees to acquire higher demand commercial credentials. Supplemental income streams. As a notary, you can be flexible, have on demand avenues of secondary income that directly support local household economies. And then when it comes to mobile small businesses, transitioning from standard sales to specialized mobile signing agents allow citizens to build independent business models. And it goes beyond just actually being a signing agent. Beyond the macroeconomics of multi-million dollar deals, notaries have a massive direct impact on local entrepreneurship and household economies. First, consider the low barriers to entry. Through affordable state approved courses at local community colleges, diverse demographics, including military spouses, stay at home parents, and retirees, can quickly acquire a highly valued professional credential. This credential opens up supplemental income streams. Notaries can perform their duties on a flexible, part time, on demand basis to support their household expenses. Lastly, it fosters mobile small businesses. Many notaries transition into specialized mobile signing agents, traveling to homes and offices to assist with mortgage document packages. This creates an entirely self sustaining, independent business model for thousands of North Carolinians. So, again, this is something that you can always look into more just because it is an option that you actually have access to. So when it comes to notary earnings comparison, so for our general notary stamp, we have to follow what the general statute says, and we can only charge $10 max on any notarization that we are witnessing someone's signature when it comes to notarizing it. When it comes to remote electronic notarization, we will be able to charge up to $25. Again, once we are able to move in that capacity. And then when it comes to loan signings, we can, based on who we work for or who are receiving payment from, it can vary. But if it's from a actual signer that's paying us to notarize their real estate document, again, we have to always lead and follow the general statute of $10 per notarized signature. If we're being hired by a third person, which is considered business to business, it can be a negotiated rate. And when you take my signing agent class, I go over to let you see how to read the closing disclosure or the HUD settlement statement, so you have an idea of how much a lender put aside for what we do as a notary in a specific section called settlement. So when it comes to the settlement portion of the whole transaction, there's a lump sum amount of money that is dispersed, and we only get a percentage of that, not all of it. So once you actually can see how much you can actually make, it can help you when it comes to how to position yourself and understanding the whole. Again, if you can make $75 for an opportunity to notarize a document for a company, that's more than most people are making an hour on their W 2. Okay, so that is the idea and the mindset that I would encourage you to have when you get started. And then as you're building up your expertise, then you can actually identify what you should be making more, because it's all about error-free transactions. If you're making errors, that means you have some things you still need to approve upon or improve upon. And the more you improve to the point that you're not making the same errors to a point where you're having errorless transactions, that's how you can position yourself when you're working with individual companies. But please do not expect getting started that you're going to make hundreds of dollars for a transaction when you haven't proven yourself to the company that's hiring you. It's a relationship that has to be built over time for them to trust that you really do know what you should know when working with them or any other company in this capacity. Again, it's a process, it's not an overnight situation, but the more you actually take the time to learn, to grow, to understand, the more of an asset you are to businesses that you work with. When it comes to high value niches and revenue diversification, you can take into consideration estate planning specialists. This position, when it comes to notarizing critical documents, allows for premium service fees, often exceeding $100 per appointment because of the level of different documents that's usually required to be notarized. The four key documents that you can keep in consideration is your durable power of attorney, revocable trust, last will or self-proving affidavit, and health care power of attorney. The values of this, it shifts the notary from a transactional service provider to an indispensable specialized consultant in generational wealth transfer. And again, you can make it sound really jazzy, just like I said, or you can just again be very clear with what it is that you're doing because you're going to always be a notary public. When it comes to number two, the apostasy and courier facilitation option provides high demand services for international document authentication, immigration, education, business by navigating the Hague Convention process. And for those of you that had the opportunity to take the apostasy class um, and the estate planning with our teachers over this past weekend at the conference, was in for a treat because you learn so much during that time with what you can actually focus on if you again niche down to this specifically. So I'll go over again when it comes to the apostasy and courier facilitation. As North Carolina becomes more globalized, there is a surge in demand for international document authentication for immigration or foreign business. So keep those things in mind. Notaries who train as apostasy facilitators act as a specialized courier, guiding clients through the complex process of authenticating documents for use in foreign countries under the Hague Convention. This complex, time consuming service justifies a significantly higher facilitation fee, often well above the standard notary cap. The second thing, when it comes to niching down the estate planning specialist, where the earning opportunity is consistently $100 or more per appointment, by proactively building relationships with estate planning attorneys. Notaries ensured the correct legal execution of the four main estate planning documents in North Carolina. Now, there may be less, and there could be a whole lot more depending on who the customer is that you're assisting in this capacity. So, again, all of those numbers do vary depending on the volume of signatures you're notarizing. When it comes to the key documents, again, they can include the revocable living trust and the durable power of attorney, both of which must be notarized to be legally valid. Furthermore, while a last will and testament doesn't require notarization, adding a notarized self-proving affidavit is essential to protect household inheritance and simplify the probate process. The ability to perform capacity verification for these critical documents elevates the notary's role from a simple stamper to an indispensable consultant in securing generational wealth transfer. Again, this is a way of just understanding what more is involved when you are really serious about niching down to something that you probably really do enjoy and do very well at. But again, this is something that you will build over time. Please don't try to rush into any of these things because it's worth taking the time to fully understand and study to really get all the information. Once again, we are not to explain anything to anybody because it's unauthorized practice of law. But when it comes to our personal understanding, it can go a long way because it will help us know how to position ourselves when it comes to marketing to the audience that we're trying to gravitate to. So when it comes to the transaction value matrix, this is the breakdown. So you have the different documents, the core action, the sector, and the value added. Starting with home purchase deed. The correction is identity and intent. That's usually in real estate, and it enables self land ownership and transfer. When you're looking at motor vehicle title, you have the witnesses of the signatures. Automotive retail is the sector, and ensures fast, authentic car transactions. When you're dealing with the corporate resolution type of documents, it could be dealing with corporate verification for the action that we're taking, and it's under the business and finance sector, and it unlocks commercial bank loans and expansion for those that we're notarizing for. And then when it comes to wills and trust or wills and living trust, the capacity verification is a court action. The sector is state and legal, and it secures generational wealth transfer, as we spoke on before. So again, we're an economic bedrock, and who paid attention to the actual word of the day so that you can actually know what bedrock means. So securing trust, driving growth, and empowering communities in North Carolina is what we are here for. And I hope you guys are truly embracing the position that you have and the importance that you hold for the community everywhere, because that again is a vital importance of who we are. So we're now going to actually go and take it to the audience for any questions that you may have. So let me know, Jacqueline, if you see anything in the Q&A section for us to actually respond to, and then we can have a conversation.
Okay, the first question was, where do we sign up for the Wednesday session? And what I did there is I just copied and pasted what you posted on how to sign up. I put it there
Okay.
for you. Dave has two questions. His first question is, on the notary exchange comparison slide, it said $25 run session cap. In 10B-31, it says $25 per signature print per notarized principal signature. Are these saying the same things or two different things?
It means the same as far as per notarization signature. So we can only charge $25 per signature, like we do $10 per traditional.
Okay. So if you are in person doing an electronic signing, is that
Hmm.
when you can charge the $25 per signature?
No, that's considered being an in-person electronic notary, and the max is $15 in that capacity.
Okay, so that would be $15 in that capacity. Okay, thanks for the
That is correct.
clarification. Okay.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome.
then his second question is, for estate planning notary work is $100 a possible total, or is it $100 plus $10 per notarized principal signature?
Okay, read that one more time.
Okay. So his question is regarding estate planning. So he wants to know, because you gave an example of like $100, it could possibly be $100 for an estate planning assignment. So his
Uh-huh.
question is, for estate planning notary work, is $100 a possible total, or is it $100 plus $10 per notarized principal signature? So he's asking
So what?
straight up.
So I gave an average. Okay, it could be less and it could be more, but it's all about how many signatures you're notarizing. So if you have the four that was mentioned, you typically have the signer and two witnesses on these documents. All right. So when you're thinking about four different documents, and literally it's usually three that requires the two witnesses, then that's $30 per document times three, which is $90. There's one that is the durable power of attorney that doesn't require witnesses at all. And if it's just that one signature of the actual signer themselves, then that's the additional $10 that makes it 100. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that may look like, it could be under $100 if they have less documents that they're having you to notarize, or if it's additional types of documents when you're dealing with the mental health documentation that again oftentimes has to be notarized. Again, anytime you have witnesses, those witness signatures, you do actually charge the principal signer for their signatures that you're also notarizing in those transactions.
Okay. That's all the questions in the chat. So I guess if anybody have an additional question, they can raise their hand or type it in the chat. But there were only two from Dave.
So please raise your hand since we actually read everything, and that way we can actually be able to answer quicker when you ask your question, or if you have comments to share, this is the time that you are able to do so. Oh, we are shy tonight. What in the world? Or do everyone understand things so well? A question is not necessary. Yes, Dave, thank you.
Uh, a couple of things. I asked about the estate planning because it seemed to me it was certainly possible doing that type of work. You could notarize more than 10 signatures. So if someone was offering you $100 and you wound up notarizing 12 signatures, that's not a great deal. But my other question, first I want to say the North Carolina Notary Association posted the video of the chat with Secretary Marshall and Ozzie Stallworth on their Facebook page, and I put the link in the chat so everyone can see it. And my question is sort of related to something that they talked about two times in the chat, where first somebody asked about signatures matching the name written on the title, the name in the notary certificate, and the name on the ID for DMV documents. And then there was another question about signatures matching that event. The answer got into signature matching the name written in the certificate. And my question is it problematic if someone shows up with a document to sign and it has a certificate on it and the name of the principal, the main principal, and even the names of the witnesses, if there's witnesses for the document already typewritten into the certificate. And if that happens, it seems like it's much harder to control the situation and get people to sign their name exactly as it was typed in the certificate, particularly with regard to if it has first, middle, and last name, but people sign just first and last, or sign first, initial, and last. So, is it a problem if the names are pre-filled in the certificate?
So that was something that a lot of people were not clear on. So hopefully I can actually set the record straight. When you have a document and you are the signer, for example, you are only signing your name like you normally sign your name because that's how we're identifying it as from your ID and not what your name is printed as. When you print your name, however, you want to probably print it the same way they have it in the document. Now, there's a question about if you need to leave your middle name off of it or add it in any way or the version based on how it's pre-populated on the actual printed document. That is something you can ask the company or whomever drafted the document for you. So as a notary public, our goal is to make sure on the ID that the ID has their name, but based on the document, it cannot have more than what is on the identification. It has to be the version of what's on the ID or less so that we can actually feel that we can move forward. So if it has Belinda Baker Bennett on my driver's license, but on the paperwork it has Belinda Bennett, then you can still notarize the version of my name as my first and my last name. If it has Belinda B. Bennett, still you can move forward with signing or excuse me, notarizing my name. But if it has just Belinda Baker and it doesn't have Bennett, that name has to be added because that's technically not my last name when it comes to just the version of Belinda Baker. So you want to make sure that it actually again does not add more than what is actually on the ID, and it does not subtract where it is not the same as the name on the ID, because there are several Belinda Bakers in the United States. But when it comes to my full name, which is Belinda Baker Bennett, I'm like probably the unique name alone. But there's several Belinda Bennetts out there as well. So we want to make sure we have the right version of the person before us that's on this document before we notarize it. So again, You want to make sure it kind of matches exactly what is on the ID and not more. So again, if it's Belinda Baker Bennett, but on the ID it says Belinda Marie Bennett, that is a problem because there's no Marie on my ID, if that makes sense.
That was part of what Ozzy said. But the other thing I heard him saying in the second time that this came up was that if your name appeared Belinda Baker Bennett in the document and Belinda Baker Bennett on your ID, it was, for example, fine for you to sign Belinda Bennett. And then he was saying when the notary wrote your name as the principal appearing before the notary in the certificate, that the notary should write it the same way you signed it. So he was saying the notary should write Belinda Bennett because that's how you signed, not Belinda Baker Bennett. But my question was, what if the certificate already has your name in it when you show up before the notary, like your attorney drafted the document for you and they're doing you and the notary a favor by putting the name in there, and you have first, middle, last typed in the certificate, but then you just signed Belinda Bennett. Well, that's not achieving what Ozzy was saying, but it seems to me
So
like it's not really problematic.
it should be problematic if it's already pre-printed in the notarial certificate of who is personally appearing before me, as long as it is not, again, more than what the ID shows. Because what we have the autonomy to do, which is the beautiful thing about the power of what we have in that specific area, we can subtract, add to make sure the information is correct before we actually notarize it. So to make it very clear, however a person signs their name, we're looking at the signature that they sign and trying to cross-reference it on the actual ID that we're actually relying on to say, okay, does this look like this person's signature that is on the identification before me? This is very important when it comes to additional things that we're looking for to properly identify that person beyond the photo of themselves, because there are certain things that we do need to be paying more attention to equally when it comes to not just the photo of who is in front of us, but also that signature to see if it's any version of what it looks like. It could be that same person's actual signature because signatures do change over time. So we just want to make sure that is the way it needs to be. We are able to make sure when it comes to writing down who's before us, the rule of thumb and best practice is to write exactly what is on the identification in front of us. Because guess what? We're not going to have a photo of that after that person leaves. So we can go by exactly what that name appeared on the identification. When we write down who is before us, Ozzy did share that based on how the name is printed on the document, we can also print it verbatim. But again, as long as it is not a problem based on what legislation have said as far as what's on the ID itself versus what's on the paperwork, we got to make sure legally it looks like the same version of their name from the identification. But again, best practice for me, what I do is write down verbatim what's on the identification as well as the ID number. So that's no question of what I had in my hand that I'm no longer going to have in my hand once that transaction is completed. So now I have things in my recording on my journal based on what was presented to me during that time that I actually met with the signer.
Yeah. At the end, you meant you write it down in your journal.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I was surprised. I looked at my driver's license after this, and I can remember DMV always being insistent upon me signing my middle name when I would renew my license, but my current license doesn't have it. So I guess they've become
Been a little
a
bit more
little more
lenient.
flexible. Thank you.
Yes.
And
You're very
I'm going to
welcome, Dave.
I'm going to watch those two parts of the chat again, because especially the first one, I thought the discussion was all over the place because Ozzy kept trying to get away from being on the hook to talk about DMV documents.
Well, again, and he said it very clearly. Notaries, if you are not well versed in these documents, do not try to figure it out. Do send the customer to DMV, because that's what that agency is for those particular documents. They have notaries on staff that should know exactly how to instruct the signer on what is needed. So again, if you have not got additional training to really understand what needs to be done, please don't put yourself in that situation of possibly making things bad for the signer if something is incorrectly done. And you don't have to worry about stressing that will come upon you if you truly are not sure, because it can come back to bite you where you're going to have to make some corrections. And that can be a whole different situation that you really don't want to actually deal with. So the goal is to make sure you stay in what you understand to move forward, and what you don't, allow them to go to the agency that that document needs to be actually looked upon to give them the right instructions. I want to make sure I have Marina that was next, and then Miss Vicky.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm like, yes, yes, yeah. That was really clear and very good, because like it was brought up in the that someone had them sign the back of a title twice in the DMV, then rejected that title. And if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the affidavits of correction and another MVR2 and all that, you can't fix that for them. So you have to be really careful about those signatures. But anyway, that was great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And then I have so Marina, did you have any question, or that was just your comment?
Oh, shoot, I did have a question. I can't remember what it was now. I was so like engaged in what you were talking about. So no, I'll try to remember. But thank you.
Okay. If it comes back, just let me know. I have Miss Vicky, and then I have Angela after Miss Vicky. Miss Vicky, I can't hear you. You may have to check your audio. You might have to go out and come back in to see if that will actually help. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and go to Angela and then George.
Hello there. Good evening. I did just check the chat.
All right, hold
She
on,
can
Miss
go ahead.
Vicky. Okay.
You want her to go ahead?
Yeah, it looks like you're buffering, Miss Vicky, so it may still not be as easy for us to understand, but we will try to see what we can hear while you're on.
Just look at the chat.
Okay. The chat or the Q&A?
She
Oh,
said
Q&A.
On her
DMV
Q&A, she
session
has
reference mentioned a one and the same affidavit. It said
Okay, say that one more.
Okay, so Vicky posted in the chat, DMV session at conference mentioned a one and the same, in quotes, affidavit. I guess she's wanting you to explain that.
I'm trying to identify what that was. So
It's a form that it's a generic form. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, it's a generic form that can be used with any document that says, okay, the name on the ID, I'm married. It's my married name is this, and my single name was that, or I'm divorced.
All right, you went out again. I can see you talking, but your voice completely went out. And I still can't hear you. So something's going on with the audio. If you can do this for us, if you can actually just kind of type in that part. I did understand you say it's a generic form and it can be used in, and I'm not sure exactly what all capacities this document is, if it's an MVR document specifically, or is it one just in general? So when you are able to help me with that, then hopefully I can answer the question based on what you're asking in the Q&A. So I'm not sure what's going on with your audio, but yes, it's going in and out. It was doing well for a moment and then it stopped.
I think I know what she's talking about. With the name affidavit, is like any name you have used in the past, or a name that you use now if it's different. Like if you were married and got divorced. I think that's
Well,
what
she
she.
said it's a generic form. I know under when you're actually working with a signer that is dealing with real estate loan closing documents, that is usually an AKA statement affidavit that's with those documents, but it's not a generic form. It's a document that's really that's part of most of those types of loan closing documents, just to make sure every version of their name is considered them, because this is information pulled through the credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Usually, LexisNexis is like the top tier of the companies that is actually pulling this information and giving it to these different reporting agencies. So when you're dealing with that particular form, the signer normally has to affirm or confirm that this information is them. So they have to sign their name based on exactly acknowledging that this is the different versions of their name. But again, it depends on what these documents are a part of. And that is the one I can actually relate to. Any other generic AKA statement, if that's something Ms. Vicky is talking about that's separate from that particular type of document, then that's what I need to get more clarification on before I can answer what she might need an answer for. We have 7 minutes to go. So let me get Angela back up.
Hey there, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to add this, Belinda. I'm traveling right now, so I don't have my camera on because I've got folks with me.
Okay.
When we had these conversations like we did at the conference, like in the DMV session, there was a lot of conversation about what was right, what you had learned, what you hadn't. I've never heard that before, never seen that document before. You can find that online, various things like that. And sometimes when conversations like that and everybody's not necessarily immediately on the same page, that's a very good thing, because you could be learning something you don't know, but you could also find out someone else has been taught incorrectly, right? Like we're on the Tuesday night call, and we learn things here. And I know there was a few things I heard at the conference that some of the folks on the Tuesday night calls went, wait a minute, hold on, that doesn't sound right. So when you get in a situation like that, don't let it make you feel uncomfortable, but search it out, because ultimately everybody needs to be on the same page. So see it as an opportunity, even if there's a debate about it. As long as, we joke about the notary Bible, right? It always comes back to everything that's in 10B, and everything has to come back to that. So there's going to be people who have not learned correctly, and it could be us, right? Not with you, Belinda, but we could have studied something or heard something, picked something up off social media and got it wrong. So just welcome the debate with people who don't necessarily see it the way that you do, because ultimately everybody's got to come back to 10B. So that was just my encouragement over what we're talking about.
I appreciate that. And that's definitely a rule of thumb. Go back to the resource in the actual journal statutes. And sometimes we do have to read that several times just so we can understand the different parts of it, because it's a lot of information, which is why, again, we're doing what we will be working toward starting tomorrow night when it comes to breaking down the traditional section of the notary manual, because the general statutes is a part of that, breaking that down with the updates that we have had over the last few years. So again, it can be very helpful for us to kind of know how to connect the information to whatever the scenario or situation may be. So we're going to go to George, and then we're going to go back to Marina.
Hey, Belinda. I have a few questions here. The link that you posted, for some reason, it just keeps taking me straight to the meeting. Is there a way that you can text that to me? the link for tomorrow?
So when you go to the meeting, is it not asking you questions for you to put in your name and your contact information?
Yeah, and it has like a little countdown box and stuff that
Yeah,
shows.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
because when I clicked on the link, it kicks me out of the meeting that we're having now.
Oh,
So that's why I would
that's
say if
probably
you
you're gonna
could
have to
send it to
wait.
the phone, because I kept on getting disconnected, so I don't have the link. And then,
Okay,
right, and then my
I think
next
it's because
question
you do
is,
multi things on meeting, so you can. So once we're completely out of this particular meeting, it should allow
uh-huh.
you to do it without a problem. But I'll make sure you get it.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then as far as the new notary book, where can I get that at?
Dave, do you have the link readily available to share? It's going to be through the Students of Government website with UNC Chapel Hill. I'll try to get that here posted for you right quick. So I just sent it to another notary not long ago.
Or
Okay,
You're
the
asking
local
about
community college. You can call the local community colleges, right?
Well, possibly, but you will have to go to the bookstore to pick it up. If you're wanting it to be mailed, then you want to go to the UNC Chapel Hill Student of Government website and for it to be shipped to you directly through mail.
okay,
And I'm about to post it right now for you.
all right. Thank you, Belinda.
Oh, you're welcome. Let me get that.
Just did not get it off Amazon.
Yes, I
All right.
reemphasize
I
student of
don't,
government website. Anyone who wants to get a deal is about to be swindled if you don't get it from here. Okay. So let me go ahead and put it as a feature so it's easier for you to actually get it from here. So if you don't have your 2026 manual, this is the link, the only link that you want to trust to actually get access to it. And the beauty of what they are allowing is for you to have a digital copy of it once you receive the actual book. There's a code, a unique code in everyone's publication. So you'll go online, go through the instructions so that you can actually get access to the digital version as well, which is a complimentary version for us to have digitally. All right, let me see. And then we have Marina next.
yeah, I just want to say, I posted a generic one in the same in the comments. So it's a PDF, you can download it, print it off. There's the notary section at the bottom, and you just basically use it if the person's ID doesn't match the font, exactly the font of the title, then you just print the two different names, what it shows on the ID, what it shows on the title, and then they are signing, said that they are one and the same person, and you're notarizing their signature. So, and then you attach that to the title work. So it's there, and it's like every title clerk has one of these in her drawer. So if you guys want to use it, it's there to download.
And you said it's an attachment that a person will use for the NVR 191 or any other motor vehicle record form.
Yeah, with the title, sometimes when people move into the state, they get a title with just their middle initial. Well, North Carolina loves middle names. So by the time they go back and get their ID, the middle name's on the ID. So then that would be
Yeah.
differentiate from what's on the title, although the check on that is to look up the title and find out is the ID number on the driver's license the same as what's on their record. And that would then be like, yes, of course, they're the same person. But that one and the same would be like Marina C. Friedrich and Marina Christine Friedrich are in fact one and the same business or person. It says it at the bottom, and then the note they sign, and then the notary would notarize it. So the person is being held accountable for them saying that they are the same person.
Right.
So that's the difference on that than just having you signing off on it, which you wouldn't do. So
Right. So that would be what UPL, unauthorized practice of law. So that is the key. The signer understanding what they must have to help make sure they can get through without it being a problem. So thank you for that, Marina. And we have we have enough time for Michelle Pertee to actually present your question or comment. Michelle,
Me?
can you hear me?
I
Yes, you had your
do I have my hand up?
well, You had yourself unmuted, so I thought maybe you wanted to speak.
Hi, everyone. I don't have any questions. As always, it's a very informative hour with Belinda, and I always look forward to it. And I look forward to tomorrow. And I did learn something. I didn't realize that there was a digital download connected to the book. So I pulled up my book and I see it in the back, and I'm going to access that and download it. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right,
The
thank you
book
for
is
that.
really large and it's heavy to carry around. So that will help.
Then you said it was like 8 pounds. Dave
It is
actually was
heavy.
able to give us more thorough information about the book, and I was like, Dave is on top of it. Okay. But I do want to also make an announcement. I have ran for the next term as president of the North Carolina Notary Association. We have two additional new officers, and again, Michelle Partee is our new one of our newest additions as our legislative envoy for the executive board, as well as Lindsay White, that is not here in the audience, as our is historian. And so we do have Monica, that is still our vice president. Jonathan Guerrero, that's also our treasurer continuously. Our past president, which is Judy Chapman. So it's just great to have, again, the same passion all around to be in this position to help the organization in all the areas that we do need help. Volunteers is something that we definitely are looking for always. So if you know that you have a gift, an asset that you can bring to the association, please do. This conference was one of the biggest ones that we have had since we've actually had conferences. And this again was our number 24. So number 25 next year, we would love to have more people that can actually help with setting up everything and helping to break down everything to help us collectively get everything out. So it was very tasking on every single member. And so the more people that we can have hands on deck truly does help in that capacity, because I'm telling you, my back almost gave out, but it was like I had to push through. So I had to take time off to not deal with anyone um, after that Saturday, because I really needed to recuperate. So I'm feeling much better now. But again, when it was happening, I was like, nope, like no phone calls, no responses, none of that. So I shut it down just so I can actually recuperate. And again, the more we can actually have others help us, the better as a unit. All right. So we're looking for you guys to be a participant in some way, because it does help. So we do appreciate those that were there that actually say, hey, Belinda, what do you need? Just put us to work and to delegate. And again, we need more volunteers in that regard. It really made me feel so happy, and to a point that I was almost happy tears, because I'm like, people showed up even when we didn't ask, and that means a lot because people pay attention. And if you're one that actually paid attention, Deonica, Angela, I really appreciate you both so much, because you guys were there to the end, making sure that we were good. So again, it takes a village, all right, to actually keep a group moving forward. So thank you guys for your participation. And without further ado, if you are on YouTube, you can also catch the replay of this on YouTube channel. So please do take the time to go to at NC Notary Coach and become a subscriber to the YouTube channel. This helps when it comes to, again, making sure that you have access to this information. So we would like for you, again, subscribe, like, and watch. I should say, watch the videos and like them. And then, of course, you have time to interact with us. There's a lot of people that are working during this time frame, so they can't join us live. But I do appreciate those that actually do go back and look at the replay and then communicate with any questions they may have, where I can actually assist them with answering those questions and share with other notaries, because you just never know who the information can definitely help when you share the information with them. So I look forward to seeing those that are joining tomorrow, Wednesday, Notary Wisdom learning session for our Notary Public 2026 version that we will go through starting from 8 o'clock p.m. to 9. And again, this will be continuous every week, Lord willing. And I'm looking forward to all of the 100 plus that has registered to come and join. Now it's going to be different because we have a large volume of notaries that's going to be on. So we will have to take questions and probably answer after each session to make sure everyone can get their questions answered, and then send a revision of that information to everybody so everyone would know, okay, what was the question? And then how it could possibly help you as well if you did not know what the question was. So the goal is inclusion. So I want to make sure that everyone has taken the time to join live. We'll get the information that they deserve after the fact because an hour goes by really quickly. As you can see, this one did too, right? So I'm looking forward to everybody tomorrow and then next week when it comes to additional time that we're going to spend for the TNTs and the WNWs. Okay. So this is another opportunity for us to actually enjoy each other's company and really actually take the time to just know that we have something that is beneficial for everyone. As long as you come out, you should be able to see exactly what we have in store for you guys. So again, thank you for showing up as always. And I look forward to spending time with y'all tomorrow. And for those that's going to do the online 2-day Notary Basics training, I'm looking forward to seeing you Friday and Saturday. Um, if you still want to sign up for that online, I will be sending your notary document Bibles to you so that you can actually have that to go over with us during the actual class. But tomorrow's the last day that I can actually send it to make sure you get it on time. So again, if you're wanting to sign up for that, go to ncnotarybasics.com and sign up for the online version for this weekend. Otherwise, for Carteret Community College, I will be teaching next in June for the in-person, and you may want to go ahead and sign up now so that we can get seats filled so you won't be lost and not be able to join if you're in that area. All right. So I know there was a lot to say in a little bit of time, but I'm going to say good night and hope to see you guys again in 24 hours or so. Okay.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Good night.